This famous old Greek guy once said, excellence is not an act. We are what we repeatedly do, which means it's a habit. That was like 2,500 years ago. It's exactly the same today. I think the core difference is really understanding, and I've learned this by coaching a lot of people. If we can get someone to change their behavior, they are more likely to make that habit stick versus creating a process and telling them what to do. The behavioral change is always the most difficult thing to change in ourselves and in other people. Hey guys, welcome to the Painter's Circle, where we help painting business owners scale their operations, increase profitability, and gain more time freedom. I'm Taz Mullis, and in this podcast, I'll share actionable tips, expert strategies, and real-world insights that'll help you grow your painting business without burning you out. Ready to take your painting business to the next level? Let's go. Oh yeah! Hey guys, trust you super well. You've probably heard this before. An important part of business or of achieving anything successful long-term is two things: progress and consistency. Have you ever struggled with consistency? Whether that be consistency at work, consistency doing quotes, consistency sales, consistency at doing the right things in your business. What typically happens is we have all these things that come into our lives. The reality is business is only one life of ours. We have our relationship life. We have our community. If you're in a community life, we have our health, mental and physical lives. We have our financial lives, and we have our business lives. Your business is only one part of you. That's the reality. You as a person have all these things that you're accountable to or responsible for or involved in that require your time and attention. I was having this conversation with a client recently where, and this might be true for you too, he was feeling super overwhelmed. Now, he's put some team members on, someone in admin, promoted someone to operations. So in his painting business, he's predominantly, managing and doing sales, but he still feels super overwhelmed with all the activities and the frequency of the meetings and tracking and performance and everything going on. And he said, Taz, it's really hard to be consistent at all these moving parts at any one time. And we had a good chat. The overwhelm usually comes from having too many things on our plate or not creating space. Now, for me, space is time. So if you looked at the calendar, if I have no space in my calendar, everything's full up, I'm going to have no time. But if I have space in my calendar, I have time. So it's physical for me. So if you don't have any space, it's more than likely you're going to overwhelm running all these different things. Now, the purpose of business is not to be super, super busy. The purpose of business is to be effective and productive in the things that you do. The purpose of business is for you not to be super busy. That's not the outcome. The outcome is to be effective and productive in the things that you do. I had a good call with him and I said, mate, I've got to come out and see you because you understand you need to be consistent with things, but you're just overwhelmed with so much things going on. So I started at the basics. And I want to share with him some of the core habits and or rituals that allow me to operate 3 businesses. I have to have, and I suggest you should have, some habits and rituals that create the space for you not to get consistently overwhelmed. Over 3 years ago, I wanted to see the actual benefits of consistency. I'd never before been consistent every day for 3 years in a row. I wanted to break that down into what would happen if I was consistent every day in some key areas of my personal life. This wasn't about business. This was about consistency. I wanted to see the effects of it. What would change? Now, I named this Project 1000. It was 1,000 days of consistently thinking, writing what is my intention for today, what I'm happy and grateful for today, moving my body. I'm not saying I go and do massive weight sessions or triathlons. Just move. Go for a walk. Take the dog for a walk. 10,000 steps. Not that complicated. Today, I'm actually at 975 days. And I can say now from experience, it permeates into other areas. Reps remove doubt. And doubt comes from not being confident. And confidence comes from doing things. So if you do something consistently over time, your confidence goes up because your brain starts knowing, I know how to do that thing. That's where confidence comes from. Confidence comes, you don't become confident. You become confident by doing the thing. Those habits of writing down what my intention is for today. It doesn't have to be that complicated. My intention for today is to go to bed before 9 o'clock. That's my intention. The reason why it's important to have a ritual, a practice, a thing that you do is to create space so you can think. Because in business, I'm going to tell you right now, I've been doing this a very, very long time, over 2 decades. If you wake up and you jump into your inbox, your email box, and or doom scroll, you are starting the day in someone else's to-do list. And if you do that many, many, many days in a row, or many, many weeks, months, quarters, years in a row, so if you start your day like that and you compound that, because that's consistency, over 12 months, guess what? You are unlikely to get the stuff that you want done because guess what you're doing? You're doing other people's stuff first. It's unlikely you're going to do the things that you keep saying you're going to do. Today is yesterday's tomorrow. So if you're going to put off this thing to tomorrow to when you got time, but you never get time because you get into other people's to-do lists, you've created a habit. So when I was talking to the client about where he's getting overwhelmed, we chatted about that, once upon a time, he used to do a bit of exercise, which got his head clear, then starts his day on his terms. But for whatever reason, had a back injury, he stopped doing that. But by not having that habit, space for him to get clear on what he wants to do and get done in the day, week, and month ahead, he fell into the trap of being overwhelmed by everybody else's tasks. That's what an inbox is. It's all this information that needs to get done. Now, I'm not saying you don't do it. I'm just saying you don't start with it, because not every email is critical that needs to be done right now. It's a distraction. You can form your own habits. The question then lies in business. Are there habits in business to keep me consistent in business? I highly recommend, if you're going to do this thing called business for a long period of time, having a practice or a ritual or a set of things that you do that gets you clear, focused at the beginning of your day is going to serve you so much more better for when times get a little bit difficult. Because the reality is, life is not smooth sailing. Something's going to happen. Something's going to knock you about. But your ability to be calm and centered is going to be the difference between you being super overwhelmed and stressed and you mitigating that stress level as best you can. Because like I said, life is going to happen, whether we like it or not. It just does. Now, in business, your personal life will drive your business. When you get into business, there are some behaviors that typically probably aren't normal to you. Now, a habit, by the way, is just a behavior done over and over and over again. So in business, there's going to be certain things that if they become behavioral and they stick, they will serve you. An example would be having a default diary. So all that means is that in your week and month, depending on the activity, there's a frequency that you need to do things. One of those things probably should be knowing your critical numbers. Could be 1 hour per week. That should be in that default diary. There should also be in there having conversations with past clients, current clients, and future clients. Communication is your number one skill set you want to get better at doing. If you are not allocating any time to communicating doesn't mean you are selling them, by the way. Communicating just means talking to people. If you don't allow any time in your week to communicate to past, current, and future clients, more than likely, those people are not going to know you exist, are going to be attracted to other people that are talking to them. So that could be part of your default diary. Another part of consistency and having a default diary in your business, which means just a certain thing that you've done in a certain frequency, is a team meeting. Most people I speak to have or use external marketing people, whether it be Facebook, Google, website, wherever they may be. Right? Having once a month a half an hour meeting with that external company goes into your diary, and that becomes a consistent thing. You want to know, how are we performing? They're going to know feedback on what are the results from the marketing they're doing. Without those results, if they don't know that, they don't know if it's working. And without your feedback to them, what's the point? There's another thing that becomes consistent in your business. So in your business, there's a few critical areas that revolve consistency. Communication is up there. Clarity on your numbers is up there. Sales is up there. But there's a lot of activities in your business that, although important, aren't super critical and fit around everywhere else in your business. This famous old Greek guy once said, excellence is not an act. We are what we repeatedly do, which means it's a habit. And that was like 2,500 years ago. It's exactly the same today. I think the core difference is really understanding, and I've learned this by coaching a lot of people. If we can get someone to change their behavior, they are more likely to make that habit stick versus creating a process and telling them what to do. The behavioral change is always the most difficult thing to change in ourselves and in other people. Simple thing would be, if you are wanting to get healthy, you could join a gym and get a personal trainer and that sort of stuff, which sounds pretty cool. Or you could build the habit of doing 10,000 steps per day. You build that habit over 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. You don't have to remember to do any sort of physical activity. You're booked out, you're absolutely flat out, and you're not sure if you made money last month. The real problem is you think you're not working hard enough. Most painters feel like by working harder, doing more hours, doing more jobs, doing more marketing, grinding a bit harder, they're going to fix that problem. It's never about working harder, it's about working smarter. And you're never going to outwork a poor visibility problem. PainterOS Accelerator is built to end the guessing. It is a target hitting program. It's an ecosystem for business owners to come into to ensure, one, they've set the right targets for their business, and two, show them how to hit those targets. One thing I know to be true, having coached hundreds and hundreds of painting business owners, once we're able to give the right information at the right time to that business owner, they typically know what to do. This fills that gap. The number one thing we want to help business owners is having predictable and consistent revenue and run profitable businesses. We have a tool called Tradie Pipeline. Its primary purpose is to show you and teach you what are the targets that are right for you, how far off target you are, and showing you in advance your production capacity for the months or weeks ahead. We've coupled it with Painter Coach AI, which is like having a coach in your back pocket that can read that data and help you identify what is the next right move for you. And thirdly, there's the support. There's 90 days of onboarding support plus a community. This is not coaching, this is not a CRM, and this is not job management. This is an execution ecosystem where you go from being unaware of what you're doing to being crystal clear of what the targets are for you and your business and how to hit those targets, because I'm more interested in, are you moving towards those targets? When is it ready? It's ready now. If this is important to you, making money, better revenue, consistent profits, PainterOS Accelerator could be the right tool for you. Now back to the podcast. Again, I shared with you one of my core default things for me personally every day is to move. And I just keep it general, because as long as I'm moving, everything's good. I don't know if it's because it's me or a guy or whatever. I just need to move my body around and I'm pretty cool. And that's enough. But then that creates a space for me to be relatively healthy and perform and do the things I need to do in my day. We all have habits. Whether they're serving you or not is a different story. It'd be an amazing opportunity right now to really think about what you're doing in business and outside of business. There's no right or wrong, by the way. There's no good or bad. It just is. What are the things that you're consistently doing right now? More than likely, pretty much with 100% certainty, if they don't change, nothing changes. Period. It just doesn't change. So the only way to move towards wherever you want to go to is to change what we repeatedly do, because what we repeatedly do is the habit. It's not an act. It's not we do it once. I go to the gym once. That's not a habit. That's just one thing we did because we thought we had to do it, versus how do we create it where it becomes behavioral and we do the thing? Simple, not easy. So when I caught up with the client and we were talking about his overwhelm, and really the overwhelm stemmed from him starting his day in someone else's to-do list, and we had to take a step back. Over the past week, he slowed that down, doing his best to not pick up the phone and doom scroll and just do the thing that you want to do first. That is the first step, because if you start the day doing someone else's shit, it's unlikely you're going to get your shit done. If you're overwhelmed, I get it. Have a look at the habits that are creating it. Look at a ritual and potentially a practice. Doesn't have to be complicated. Sitting still for 20 minutes, mental effort because you're agitated when you pick up the phone and doom scroll. But It will help you so much to remove the amount of overwhelm because you have space to think. And that's usually, I think this is Henry Ford, thinking is the hardest work we'll ever do. All right, stay cool. Hey guys, if you got value from today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss expert tips. If you want some support, check out the link in the show notes and see how we can help you. Don't forget to follow us on socials @PainterCoach. Stay cool, be well, and as usual, see you in the interwebs. Bye.